Hello everyone, I'm Tommy and welcome to Studio Sense. Today's video review is going to be from the House of Reyane Tradition. This particular fragrance has been reviewed by a few people online, if you either type it in Google or in YouTube, but not a ton of people have given this particular release from the small niche house Reyane Tradition attention. So today we're going to be looking at Insurrection 2 Dark. When we return, we'll go over that fragrance, talk about whether it's worth purchasing and if in fact it is a clone or not of Spicebomb or Spicebomb Extreme, that and more, so stay tuned. Hey guys, and welcome back. So today we're talking about a Reyane Tradition release called Insurrection 2 Dark. I looked this up on Fragrance X and it kind of confused me because it said Insurrection 1I. You know when you're typing a message on your iPhone and the first letter is capital, the second letter it auto-corrects it as lowercase? I realized that's what happened on Fragrance X. Is this just a typo? This is not actually a different fragrance. It's all the same. This is Insurrection 2 Dark by Reyane Tradition. Insurrection Dark 2 was released in 2014. Lavalier is the perfumer. In fact, they were founded in around 2010, I believe, so it's among one of their first releases, first 4 years of their being in existence anyway. So let's check out that presentation. Because of room constraints, I'm gonna go ahead and take this out of the box here, and then I'll get behind the camera and we'll do a presentation opening of the box. So it comes in this nice plastic sleeve that you can just set aside. So you've got the Reyane Tradition logo here in red, and it's embossed lettering, Insurrection 2 Dark, Reyane Tradition Paris on the front there. You can see that. It's kind of hard to see the red against the black there. And then on the very back, it tells you what this gift set contains. So I'll give you kind of a general overview of that. What's not to like about that presentation? Super classy. Now when I went looking for this, I wasn't particularly looking for a gift set. I just happened to find this really neat gift set actually. So this is considered a perfume deodorant. At the bottom it says seductive body spray. So it's actually an aerosol spray. So if you're into that, that's kind of a neat addition. This originally came in a foam padded box with a little bookmark with a little metal piece, some little fine attention to detail, but it retains that attention to detail on the actual bottle. On the side of the bottle, you've got that metal piece with the Reyane Tradition logo and the name Insurrection 2. And then of course the logo on the very top of the lid of the bottle. So super nice. You get that nice gradient from red to black on the bottle itself. Gradients on bottles are a really nice touch with fragrance. It just looks great sitting on the shelf, adds to the presentation overall. So I really dig the presentation of this fragrance. Now it appears that there are two schools of thought online for Insurrection 2 Dark, that it is a Spicebomb clone or Spicebomb Extreme clone, either or that it is not, that it doesn't share any characteristics of that. So all I'm going to give you today is my opinion. I'm not going to make any wet blanket statements about what this is or what this is not, but I'll let you decide. Now there's not a ton of information in terms of the fragrant notes that are in this, so let's talk a little bit about that juice. The only site that decided to go ahead and lay down some notes was Parfumo.net. It indicates that this fragrance has top notes of bergamot, grapefruit, pink pepper, and elemi resin, with heart notes of saffron, cinnamon, paprika, base notes of vetiver, tobacco, and leather. Don't take that as a gospel. It may not have any, it may have one or two of those notes in there, I don't know, but that's just what's listed. Let's go ahead and see if we can't figure out some of those notes, and more importantly, figure out whether it's worth owning based on the smell alone. The lid is decently heavy and made of metal. There are two kinds of ingredients that you can use to make a fragrance. There are real natural ingredients, and then there are synthetic counterparts of those natural ingredients. This particular fragrance may contain some natural ingredients that are cheaper and easier to access, but it's pretty clear up front that it also contains quite a few aroma chemicals, which I'm not against. Aroma chemicals are put to the proper use. Aroma chemicals can actually be the life of your fragrance and the life of the actual smell. Straight out of the atomizer, the smell of this is slightly underwhelming. I don't give that particular thought any kind of value simply because tester strips are just to tell you whether you're going to like the fragrance or not based on the open, which doesn't always tell you the same, truth that your hard or your dry down even is going to tell you. I don't know why that particular rumor began, or if someone thought that this was actually a clone of Spicebomb. This does not smell like Spicebomb. I can't answer that for Nejla, whether this was intended to be a clone of Spicebomb, but if that's the case, it's not a very good one. It actually smells relatively unique. I can think off the top of my head 5 fragrances that smell similar to Spicebomb more than does Insurrection to Dark. This is a spicy fragrance, but it's more of a subdued. It's not like an in-your-face kind of spice. The real tale, of course, is how the fragrance interacts with your skin and your chemistry. So let's check it out on skin. Okay, so there's definitely a component in this that causes it to curve. And what I mean by that is a fragrance can either billow, be very airy, be very luminous, and kind of move outward, or it can kind of reach kind of like a fragrant ceiling. This one does something really, it's starting to do something really pleasant in the dry down. It has almost like a slightly dark, rich, and then it's sweet. So the sweetness in this fragrance is more a nuance than it is actually a heavy, cloying sweet. I like that about it. It's very distinct. Let's put it to the comparison test, okay? Spicebomb Extreme on this arm, Insurrection to Dark on this one. Now I'm actually using Spicebomb Extreme. I don't happen to have Spicebomb with me at the moment, but there actually is a similarity in the dry down of Insurrection to Dark and Spicebomb Extreme. But it's just a small similarity. Again, it's not an overwhelming, oh my God, this is a clone of Spicebomb. It's definitely not. It's going in its own direction. Spicebomb smells wholly different. There are a lot of different nuances happening. Spicebomb has, at least Spicebomb Extreme has some effervescent quality about it that keeps it billowing outward, that keeps it projecting outward, that keeps it lifting off the skin, as it were, and causing little fissures of nuances here and there, whereas this sits a lot closer to the skin and it keeps it within that fragrant curve that I talked about. I stick with my initial impression. This is not a Spicebomb clone at all. I don't think it's a Spicebomb wannabe. If that's what they intended, they failed pretty miserably in my book. But it is doing what it's doing fairly well for a synthetic fragrance. Some people might be put off by the synthetic final denouement, the final chapter of this fragrance, and that is the dry down. There is kind of a plasticky sort of vibe about this on dry down, and that plasticky vibe is just equating to the synthetic aroma chemical. It's almost like you lit a candle, and as the candle's burning through the room, not only are you getting the aroma of the oils that were used to create the candle, but you're also getting that fixative, which is the wax smell. So it's kind of a plasticky. It's also still spicy and slightly resinous on that dry down. So there are some enjoyable characteristics for Insurrection Dark too, but would I purchase this thinking or hoping that it was a Spicebomb or Spicebomb Extreme clone and that's what I was going to get? No, I would not at all purchase this. Purchase it of its own merit, purchase it if you're curious about it. I think it's definitely worth the price of admission. It's not super expensive, but for those of you that are put off by synthetics and synthetic aroma chemicals, you may not like the dry down of this. The opening is not super pleasant. The opening is not super bright. It's not citrusy at all. It's not super vibrant, but I do like that soft, dark, slightly spicy dry down, and it makes for a very unique, appealing fragrance. Now this would be good for a date night fragrance because it does have that kind of like allure to it. best utilized in cooler weather because it is darker, it is a little bit heavier fragrance, it is a little bit closer to the skin. Like the projection is decent, but it's not going to be anything outstanding. So I would have to say that the projection on Insurrection Dark 2 or Insurrection 2 Dark is going to be average. This is definitely going to be a super versatile fragrance. You can definitely wear this one formally. You can also wear it casually. This is going to be an all situation, all weather fragrance. So that does have that going for it. It's really versatile. And if you tend to shy away, and if you're one of those purists that like only pure natural ingredients, and I'm not knocking that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's your thing. If that's what you like, then you won't probably like Insurrection 2 Dark. But I do think for the price, this is really inexpensive. You can get it for under 40 bucks and under, especially with the gift set. It's definitely worth getting. Well guys, that's it for my first impression of Reyane Traditions Insurrection 2 Dark. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out my video. If you do have this fragrance, let me know what your own thoughts are as to your experience with it. As always, thank you so much for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow.